Terror. Bioterror is a terminal impact that outweighs a nuclear war between India and Pakistan, as well as bigotry interest in both. An instance of terror will lead to more hatred toward the Muslim and Arab communities. This turn they dropped. Also, if the U.S. can't stop terrorists, then they will attack India and Pakistan and provoke them into a nuclear conflict. The time frame is much faster due to the fact that people can travel anywhere and will spread exponentially. Also, its magnitude outweighs this affects everyone, not just the Indo-Pak region. Also, Indo-Pak nuclear war is not probable since conflict existed for a long time and hasn't happened yet. Cyber terror also leads to a nuclear war with greater magnitude since terrorists are irrational actors and the plan will make us more susceptible to them. That's Lewis 14. Using the framework is bad because the government unable to act to threats. Even if there's a 1% risk of bioterror or cyber terror, that means we have to act to prevent it instead of thinking about philosophical questions. Okay. 2AC1, they say case outweighs, but this isn't true because extended brute evidence, it talks about how surveillance is checking terror incidents now, and they didn't answer any of our impact arguments that are written in the 1NC and on case about their impacts, and that's why the case does not outweigh. And they dropped both of our turns, which was the ogrham card that talks about how it will lead to more racism, and the Clark 13 card that talks about how it will lead to a more surveillance state. That means we have to set the status quo as a bar where we know it won't get any worse. And psychoanalytic studies confirm our rollback args. Government will not set the right precedent. Givens 13. Policymakers will be aware of the reflexive legislation. Terror attacks can create conditions in which emotion can run high. Feelings of anger, sadness, and frustration are natural consequences. Behavioral psychology teaches that reflections are probably integrated with emotionally rooted thinking. Laws passed in the aftermath of terror attacks may be reflexive, not reflective. This is not to say that all laws passed after terror attacks are emotionally driven, nor is it the case that all laws created in these circumstances are somehow bad laws. Judgment can become clouded, and attacks can drive public support for reflexive anti-terror legislation. This is not an instinct that can be somehow shut off. The surveillance controversy highlights the ratchet effects. The ratchet effect can affect anti-terror laws, expanding them over time. The Patriot Act developed in the aftermath of 9/11 has been difficult to scale back. May help illuminate why anti-terror laws remain in place and how their influence can expand in unanticipated ways. 2AC3, they say no risk of bioterror, or that terrorists can't make bioweapons. Also, group those arguments together, extend our Marival evidence that talks about how the education gap for terrorists to actually learn about bioweapons is closing, and they dropped my analytic about backyard biologists who are uploading their knowledges online, which is easily accessible by terrorists, and they're selling organic materials that terrorists can buy. And bioterror causes extinction. Methane 7. Of current extinction risk, the most severe may be bioterrorism. The knowledge needed to engineer a virus mod compared to that needed to build a nuclear weapon. The necessary equipment and materials are increasingly accessible, and because biological agents are self-replicating, a weapon can have an exponential effect on a population. And 2AC4, they say Arab American co-op, but their uniqueness evidence is from 2004, so you can't so that it doesn't take into account the new Freedom Act that passed, and whether or not that fixed the relations. And also their turn is a myth is complete hype to suggest that Muslim Americans aren't already cooperating with law enforcement. A dangerous myth of Muslim silence on terrorism persists. This myth-laden discourse has reached such a few reports that officials are now examining the non-cooperation of Muslim Americans with law enforcement. And the fact is that the law enforcement officials and security experts have been tackling this issue head-on alongside the Muslim American community. And they said that targeted warrants work, but that's not true because targeted warrants take longer than actual metadata, bulk data collection, and also the terrorists that we don't know about, which targeted warrants don't help us find, are the ones who will do the most harm. That's our Lewis evidence. And it's not about winning or losing in absolute terms. The U.S. is doing well and far better than softer intel approaches like plan reuse, Zenko 15. On exchange, press whether the U.S. is winning the war on terror. If I look across the board since 9/11, if the U.S. intelligence were not engaged against terrorists, I think we would be facing a horrendous environment. They would not take full advantage of the opportunities to summarize the war on terrorism working compared to inaction or other policies. And yes, metadata checks specific terror attacks. It also exposes broader terror cells. Shia 14. The value of metadata is not hypothetical. An illustration is the case of 9/11 hijacker Al-Madar. Metadata addresses the information gap that existed at the time of the Al-Madar case. The NSA can use metadata along with other data to quickly identify larger networks with the goal of preventing future terror attacks. And they say that terrorists will get bioweapons for foreign sources, but that doesn't solve for bioterrorists who will be in domestic, and that's why surveillance is key to check those. And also, they say they say that cyber terror is not likely, but the evidence does not take into account where there's a world where there's no surveillance, and that means you have to prefer our evidence and extend our Fritz 9 card. And cyber attacks escalate nuclear war fast, Austin 13. Lack of restraint is especially important because of the command and control of strategic nuclear weapons is targeted both cyber espionage and offensive cyber operation. Lack of restraint in cyber weapons destabilize pre-existing agreements that contain nuclear weapons deployment use. It's time for the U.S. to take a stock of the collateral damage that causes for cyber military power on a system that might affect critical nuclear command and control or wider war mobilization functions. Strategic nuclear stability may be at risk because of the uncertainty about innovations in cyber attack capability. And Our evidence is about specific people who work in the Pentagon, and that's why we have to prefer our evidence over theirs. And cyber threat is high. Carney 14. Defense officials see cyber attacks as the greatest threat to U.S. national security. According to the survey respondents to the poll, named the cyber attack as the single greatest threat. The poll targeted senior employees within the White House, Pentagon, Congress, and the defense industry. Each called it the largest national security threat.